Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning, Ken.
Morning, Ken.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
Morning.
We got a handful of people just still joining the meeting, so I'm going to give them just a second. But I'm happy to see everybody this bright and early Monday morning, first Monday in December, which is absolutely both incredible to believe and also hard to believe that it took this long to get here this year. I don't know about anybody else, but this has been a long year. But it's okay. It's almost over. And I learned long ago not to wish away your life. There's not that many left. Just curious, how many of you think next year is going to be a better year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
A lot of opportunity next year.
Definitely.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, it will.
I'm
I
feeling
agree.
it will be a much better year. I've been accused of wearing rose-colored glasses fairly often, but I think there are a lot of positive signs. We'll talk about that quite a bit in some of the other sessions. Just to give you, before we get started on this, while a few other people are joining, a couple of things. The next 2 days I want you to be aware of, and we'll send out stuff. 2 days before everything happens, we'll be sending you some information about what it is. Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting session. There is a realtor on YouTube. He's become very, very popular on YouTube. He used to be a top RE/MAX agent. Then he went to the dark side. Won't tell you which dark side, but it's not a 4-letter word. It happens to be a 3-letter word. But in the meantime, he's kind of stepped back from production. His name's Ricky Caruth, and he has been like my main source of information for what's been going on with the lawsuit. But also, he's got some terrific programs on business building. One of his programs is called 30 Listings in 30 Days, and which is obviously very aggressive and very optimistic, but I think it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. And then the next day, on Wednesday, we'll be talking about how to understand the market that we're in, but more importantly, how to explain it to your clients. And I think that that's one of the things that we really fall down on real hard, is explaining what this situation that we're in means to our clients. And they read about the lawsuits. They read about housing maybe dropping in price next year. They read all of these things, and we're really not great at explaining what the situation is. So I'll be covering that. Matt's going to be chiming in on that, I think, and we've got some materials to present to you on Wednesday. So those are the next 2 days of business, and without lingering on that, let's get into today. We have a guest here from BrightMLS. His name is Jimmy Spiropoulos. He is a customer success coach at BrightMLS, and he's going to be talking to us today about how to use Bright, and in particular the public records, to seek out the people who are likely to sell, who we want to be in touch with if they do sell, and hopefully to just have a better shot at getting listings and to locate which ones might be coming on before other people have a chance to catch them. So, Jimmy, if you're ready, I'll turn the time over to you.
Good morning, and thank you, Ken. I do appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jimmy Spiropoulos. I'm, as Ken said, customer success coach with Bright. I apologize for being off camera. I'm a little bit under the weather today, and didn't want to scare you all off with my face right now. So, but thank you for having me. So part of what I do is help agents and subscribers learn how to use Bright a little bit better. I come from a background of recruiting and recruited agents for a previous brokerage, and also moved into a role where I was helping them with a lot of their marketing and tools. And for me, I love being able to help people understand how to use a tool a little bit better and to help them with some of their marketing. And that's what I was doing in the previous brokerage. Now today I'm going to go through the public records to show you all how to use that facet of Bright to maybe help generate some business. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, hopefully you all can see my screen. And if anyone has any questions at any time of the, during the presentation, please don't hesitate to just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away. But we're going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to be in the public records today, right? And this is where we're going to create our searches. And so I'm going to give you all a couple of different scenarios of how to use the system. So the first one that I want to talk about is when you do have a listing, how you can get names and addresses if you want to set people up on like a drip campaign, just to kind of let them know that this home is going on the market, right? So I would come in here and I'm going to drop in an address. Actually, I prefer actually to do this from the map. It's easier for me. I think that I visualize information better when I do things from the map. So I would come into the map and drop in my address here, and then I can drop my point. Now I'm going to want to create a radius. So I'm going to zoom out of the map a little bit. I'm going to go up to this point here and click on the draw radius, go to my point, and then go out. Now, depending on the density of the neighborhood that you're working with and how much you want to spend on marketing dollars, you're obviously going to want to kind of set your radius based off of that. As I can see, I've set it for 0.2 of a mile. And if I go into my criteria, I can see that I currently have 218 matches. So you can adjust up and down based off of how many people you want to get in touch with, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I want to target those homeowners that are still occupying that property because, we know that the neighbors are always kind of nosy and want to see what the homes in the neighborhood are looking like and kind of compare theirs to that property. So as I've got my area already isolated, what I'm going to do is scroll down here to property information. And what I want to do is make sure that I am highlighting all residential properties. So I'll click on residential property. Pardon me. And I've gone down to 211 matches from that 218. Now, you might come over here and look at the residential type and decide that you want to target specific properties. Depending on how the county or the area that you're pulling these records for record their information. So this search was created in Montgomery County in Maryland, right? And so if I wanted to just target single detached properties, I click on that. I'm going to go from 211 down to 0 matches. Now, the reason is that Montgomery County doesn't record the, at least the way that we're filtering in the public records, they're not recording what type of property it is, only that it's residential. So I'm going to make sure to deselect that. So when you query the system for information, it's going to give it back to you as it has those results. And so if you query a field that doesn't have that information, or has little information, it might skew your results. So anytime you're creating a search within the public records or just any search in general, always look at your matches to make sure that they're that they look right to you. All right, so I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go to my sale information. I want to take corporate owned properties out. And then I want people who are still living in their property. So I want owner occupied. All right. So I've got my 184 matches here. Now, again, I can adjust this based off of how many people that I want to market to. So, if you need to change it, you can just go back into your map, delete this shape, and then create another radius, smaller or larger, depending on what you would like to do. But if I come down here and I check my results now, I can get the owner's name and information of all those properties. And so a lot of times folks will either send out their own correspondence or work with a third-party company to send out mailers and so on and so forth. And so if you're planning on mailing something out on your own, what you can do is click on this all tab up top, right? And we're going to select all 184 contacts. And then if I scroll down to my actions tab and go to print, I have an option in here for owner and property address. It's Avery 5160 labels. I'll click on that and print the PDF. And what it will then do is format those names and addresses onto those Avery labels for me that I can print out. And then go ahead and stuff envelopes and send whatever information that I want out to those clients. Now, if I'm working with a third-party company that's going to be sending postcards and whatnot instead, I'm going to go back to my results. I've got everything checked, but this time what I'm going to do, instead of hit print, is I'm going to click on export. And from there, it's going to ask me to export my file format. And I'll hit name and address and click export. And it will pull up a CSV file with all this information. So you can see the owner, current address, and all the information necessary here. Now, one thing that I was not aware of for a long time, and I'm going to point you to column F here, is that there's apparently an owner do not mail registry that I never knew about. Very few people actually put themselves on that registry. And since I've been doing these trainings, I think I've seen maybe two, maybe three names on here. But you're going to want to scroll through and see if there's a yes. If there is a yes, then go ahead and just remove those individuals from there. If it's a no, or if it's left blank, then it doesn't mean that they've registered for it. So you're able to send them any kind of mail correspondence that you like without worry of facing any backlash. Any questions about that, folks? I see somebody asked about absentee owners. Yep, if you give me a moment, I'll show you exactly how to get over there. All right, so another thing that you can do with this, and I'll show you the absentee owners in a moment, but we're going to go back into our criteria. One of the things that I used to have the agents that I worked with do was, if you come in here, right, we've got owner occupied, right? If this time I hit no, what I'm going to do is get 10 matches here. And this is telling me that more than likely the owners who are own this property are receiving mail at another address. So these 10 properties here, when I go into my results, are going to be your absentee owners, right? But you also have folks that are living in this properties that are more than likely renters. And so what I used to have my agents do is actually print out these addresses. And when the weather was a little bit nice, go do a little bit of door knocking, right? So, the pitch was, hey, I worked with the Smiths down over at 4613 Thornhurst Drive, and we helped them sell their home in record time. But we still had a ton of folks that were looking for properties in this area. Have you thought about maybe selling your property? And that they're not owners, but they don't know that you're owners. And so, when they tell you, hey, actually I'm a renter here, I'm like, oh, wow, if you didn't know, I also work with, folks who are looking to buy their, buy a property, and you could have a packet of information ready that has, just current lending programs, rates, anything that's geared towards the seller, or I'm sorry, the buyer. And maybe, you have 10 opportunities here to create, maybe convert into a buyer's lead. And so that's just kind of one way of using the system to identify individuals and targeting them, and, creating a different type of lead as it pertains to real estate. But going back to what Jeff was asking, when you go in and you're typing in no, right? And you can put in corporate owned if you want, but this is how you'll determine which of those properties are absentee owners. Okay. Any questions about that?
Pretty cool. Makes sense to me.
All right, fantastic. Nawal, yes, I did start by going to public records. Jeff, no, unfortunately, the tax records does not have emails or phone numbers. I remember using a tool like Remind, which was fantastic because it provided that information. But sadly, we can only port in what the public records give us, and it doesn't have that contact information in there. All right, so we're going to go back into our criteria. Oh, we're here now. Speaking of Remind, they used to give you sales scores, right? And they took a bunch of different information and kind of let you know what the likelihood of someone maybe selling their home was. And that was a great tool. You can kind of get that same type of information, but you're going to have to kind of use a little bit more logic, right? And kind of dumb it down. But generally, folks who have been in their properties for, let's say, 10 to 20 years, generally have more of an appetite for wanting to sell their property, right? And it could be for any number of reasons. Could be tired of looking at the same four walls. Maybe they've outgrown the property, right? They've got a bigger family now and they need more space. Maybe they're empty nesters and actually want to downsize, right? There could be a whole slew of reasons, but generally folks who are in that 10 to 20 year range are, unless they've paid off their property, more than likely, thinking at least of selling their property. And so we can use the public records to identify those individuals. So I'm going to go back into my map. I'm actually going to make this a little bit larger. So I'm going to delete this shape here. And I'm just going to make my radius a little bit bigger. Let's go half a mile and see what that nets us. All right. So I'm going to go back into my criteria. I'm going to again make sure that I've highlighted my residential properties. Again, I want to make sure that I'm targeting owner-occupied properties, folks who are still living in those homes. And it is not. Bear with me. Yeah, I erased my map. Sorry. Yeah, that looks right. So now what I want to do is I want to query the system for homes that were sold between 10 and 20 years ago. And so I'm going to go down on my sale information here, and I'm going to put in my recording date. Okay, so I'm going to add January 1st, 2003 to January 1st of 2013. So I've told that system that I want those individuals that have sold, last sold their property, or the property was last sold between this time. And now what I want to do is come up here into sale amount. What I want to do is also take out nominal sales. I want folks who are still carrying a mortgage. I don't want anything that was, sold at a discount rate to a family member or was rolled over or something like that. So I'm going to put in 100 plus down the system. There we go. Sorry. That, the sale should have been, at least $100,000 or more. Okay. So now I have those 133 matches. Right? Again, I can go into my results here and check on all and either print out labels or export them to put them on whatever type of campaign that I want. But one of the things that I like, is, trying to kind of engage these individuals, right? And providing them with a little bit of information, right? So you have those folks who might be willing to sell. Go in here, and I actually think that pulling some of the reports that we have in the system to kind of educate them on where what the market is looking like and what their property might have appreciated in value and is helpful, right? And at least maybe initiating a conversation. And so I came into the market tab, and I pulled up this industry watch report, right? And we have these industry watch reports that cover our entire footprint, right? They're down to a county level, but there's still a lot of good information that you get. So I'm going to click on Montgomery. Bear with me. There we go. And I'll just pull up for the most recent time period. These reports come out quarterly. I'm not super concerned that it's quarterly because it's going to give me some good information when it pulls up. So this is going to come out in a PDF format. Okay. And you're going to see your Q3 statistics for 2023. So you get your key metrics here, median sale price, average sales price, so on and so forth. Okay. But this is the area that is, very telling, right? So we're looking here at closed sales, right? So in Q1 of, or Q3 of 2021, there were 4,332 closed sales. Q3 of 2022, 3,169, and then Q3 of this year, 2,561, right? So it's down roughly 40%, somewhere around there. Right? Homes for sale, right? Down as well. Just a little over 50%. Okay. Now this just shows here's opportunity, right? If you've got a buyer who's tired of being in their house or been thinking about maybe selling their house, right? They have less competition if they put their home on the market, right? So you're providing them with data that's showing that, there's less competition in the neighborhood, right? Now, if you scroll down here, this shows you the historical median sales price for the area, right? So in Q1 of 2010, right, homes were selling for just a shade over 300,000, and in Q1 of 2023, just a shade under 600,000. So if those folks who bought between 2001 and 2013, or 2003 and 2013 haven't refied, they might have a fair amount of equity that's built up into the property, right? And there's just some proof for them to see how much, appreciation in the properties there were. So if you scroll down, and I created this search in zip code 20832, you can show them the median sales price for this year. Right? You can see that it's up 13% from last year. Owners are getting almost 2% above asking price, right? You can see that that's up. And then again, marketing period is down by 30, almost 32%. And then closed sales are down by almost 38%. So less competition, right? So more money, higher than what they're asking for, right? Lower days on the market, and then lower competition around to them. Someone asked, how did I present this info to owners? Well, I think that what you can do, there's any number of ways. I think you kind of base it on, the question was, how did I present this info to owners? And it's different strokes for different folks, right? I think that everybody has to find their own style, right? But, you can handwrite something and say, hey, I don't know if you've been thinking about selling your properties or, your property, but, this is a great time because we have less competition around these days, right? And less competition with still a high demand, will equal, better opportunities for you. And you can word it however you like. I'm not a licensed agent, right? So I've never sold a property myself. And I think that you just kind of have to find your own voice and take the information around you to present to them. But you can print this out and send it into, a mailer with your business card. And here you've got 133 opportunities to create a conversation based off of a mailer, right? And you could set them up on a drip campaign and provide them with other information, to maybe initiate that conversation. But I think that they say for every 40 real estate focused conversations, there's one transaction that, comes to pass. And so you've got, good amount of opportunities to have a conversation to get a real estate transaction. Does anybody have any questions about how I got this information?
I have a question just about like the parameters, Jimmy, that you used, because I see sometimes I saw what you did. You went back to 2000, your time frame there,
Mhm.
and then you put it 100,000 or more. Sometimes in the tax record, I see if they refied, let's say they bought it in 1992, whatever, and they refied it, you see a bunch of zeros in there as the recording dates.
Mhm.
So really, those would be great people that we want to target, even if they did refi. Is there a way, but they show up as zeros as opposed to, and I think we would be excluding them the way you ran the search. And I don't want to overcomplicate things, so you can tell me to be quiet if you want. But
No,
is there
no,
a
no,
way to
no.
include those as well? Like,
Um,
or does my question make sense?
yeah, it does. I'm just, that's I'm trying to think of the best way to be able to get that information. I don't know if there's let's see here.
And again, I don't need to bog things down. Like, if there's
No,
not a
no, no,
great way,
no.
that's fine. Like, I just
Truth
know.
be told, I haven't run that scenario previously. So if you allow me the time to research that, what I can do is find out the best way of going about that. I can record that and send that over to the troops.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I think at the end of the day, too, like I might be like micromanaging it a little bit too much. And like at the end of the day, we have a list of pretty hot prospects there that are more likely to sell than a big broad list.
Mm.
And so I'm probably overthinking it, Jimmy. So you guys can disregard the last 60 seconds and just move forward with what Jimmy taught us. But that just came up. So
Yeah, no worries. No worries. So going back to this, we've targeted those homeowners, but now you might want to target those absentee owners, right? And again, we can go deal owner occupied and then hit no. And then you can take corporate owned out, whatnot. And again, we've got 7 matches here, but you can make the area bigger to kind of target those folks. But now when you come in and you have these results, right? And then again, based off of how wide you make your map area, you can take this information and then create a different message, right? If you want to take this same information and show them, the competition and the price is appreciating, right? Hoping that they haven't refied their property. You can now send them correspondence based off of like, hey, are you tired of, managing a property? Like aren't, renters the worst, or, phrase it however you like it, but you can create a campaign that you can put them on, based off of, maybe not the joys of being a landlord and cashing in on their property. So you can use that same search to kind of target 2 different classes. Was there a question? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I heard somebody say something, so I was just making sure that I was answering those questions for. All right. Now, if you want to target folks who, probably been in their properties for the same amount of time, but maybe have, a fair amount of equity, maybe their properties are valued at $1 million or more, you can use the system to target those owners as well. So what I would do in this instance is I'm going to come in, make sure that I have this backed up. Okay. So this time I want to target, homeowners whose properties are maybe $1 million or more. So I'm going to come in this time and go into a residential sale itself. And I'm going to come into my map, target that area again. I'll create my radius once more time. I'm going to go out just go out a couple miles here. And I'm going to go into my criteria. And what I want to do is look for homes that have closed. We'll look back a year. And this time I'm going to looking for properties that sold for $1 million or more. Right? It's a real simple search, just the area, price, and closed. Right? So I'm going to click on results. And I've got my properties here and I can sort them. But what I want to do is find out what they were paying in annual taxes. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a new field. Pardon me. Type in annual tax. And then I can see roughly what everybody was paying, you know, on a property that was $1 million or more. So it looks like it started somewhere around 8,500, 8,400. So that's my starting point. So I'm going to go back into my public record search. I've got all my information from that I had previously. Let me take these out. I still want homes that don't that probably are carrying a mortgage, that were sold between a year and a half, 10 and 20 years, residential, owner occupied, and now I'm going to put in my annual tax. So I'm going to put in 8,400 plus. Now I think my area here was a little bit smaller, so I can come back in, delete this shape, and just draw a bigger radius to target those individuals. Sorry, looks like there we go. So now I have 111 matches, right, of properties that were bought between 10 and 20 years ago that are probably valued at $1 million or more based off of the annual tax records. Or yeah, the property tax and the nominal sales, and then I can go to my results. I can see what their sales amount were, right? How long ago they paid for them. I can sort them based off of that and then target those individuals. So you can create your campaign, you know, based off of that information and then market to those individuals. Has anybody run any searches like this in the past?
Yeah, I think I have. I like to play with reports like this, and I think I've stumbled on this before. But I guess I wasn't consistent in using it. I definitely think that it's an amazing way to process.
Yeah, I mean, certainly with the farming, that's your longer game, right? I think it takes a little bit longer to reach those individuals, but I like using the public records. I always thought farming was a great way of, kind of ingratiating yourself into a neighborhood and an area. I mean, it does take time, but I've always thought that that was a good marketing activity. So I wanted to show you all how to use this information. Are there any questions about the public records that I can answer for anyone?
Yeah, so if we have the information and we want to target this list, what would you suggest? How would you suggest we do it?
Well, you could utilize a skip tracer one to get numbers, cold call them, or doorknob, or mailings.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that when it comes to engagement with folks, I mean, find your voice, right? Find what, types of tactics and that you enjoy using, right? I think that sending yeah, Red X and Vulcan can provide numbers as well. I'm sure there's a bunch of third-party systems that you can get those phone numbers and email addresses and send them information.
Okay, thank you.
But it's about finding your voice. I mean, some people love cold calling, right? I recruited for a very, very long time, and cold calling became kind of second nature to me, and so it doesn't bother me. But there's other folks out there that, picking up the phone, they can think of a million other things to do that rather than just call someone out of the blue. And so I think it's about understanding what you want your campaign to be and then building it out around that and using different tactics to reach them. I just wanted you all to be able to at least understand like how you can pull the information and how you can, use that to, to reach out to them.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions about the public records? Well, I know we've got a little bit more time left. Is there any questions about Bright or some of the tools or any, anything that I can, help you all out with since I'm here today?
I have a question.
Sure.
You just did a residential search. How about commercial search? Like if you're looking for a particular property, like a church, like a event center or something like that. How would you do that?
So if you're looking for commercial properties instead,
Yes.
let's go back into our criteria. So here's the property information class that I had chosen. So I had done residential, but if you scroll down, I think, yeah, you can do commercial here. Right. Now it's not going to give me any results just based off of the area that I chose, is because it's residential, but like you can look for apartment information and at least get all the unit numbers and so on and so forth if you're targeting that. When you're doing a search, if you're looking for a condo building that you want to like send mailers to, you can at least get their names and addresses. You could type in the building name here, and it'll pull that building name and you can add that to the records. You can also use the map. I'm a big fan of the map. So if you have sometimes, based off of like the type of searches that you're running, maybe, it's not pulling in properly, but you can come in and if you know where like a building is at, like let's say if you were targeting like home or places in like Washington, D.C., right? Like, and you could go in and find the building that you were looking to target, and just draw, you can freehand it if you want. I'm terrible. I don't have a steady hand. I would have never been a surgeon, but you could do something like that, to target a certain building and whatnot if you just want to do it that way. So the map is really handy. You can also do the polygon points, because you just go to each end, draw it that way. So that's one way of getting like commercial or specific properties if you wanted to do it that way.
Thank you.
Jimmy,
Yes.
hi, this is Adam Bashine. I wanted to comment. I've tried to do a tax record search of by subdivision, and when I do subdivision, it doesn't allow me to, and I end up only being able to look a radius. Am I doing something incorrectly, or?
Try legal subdivision. So if you're just in subdivision or neighborhood, it's probably not going to pull up. But like if you wanted to do like Garrett Park, right? And then did like residential. There you go. So make sure that you're using the legal subdivision.
Legal. Okay, maybe. Okay, I'll see if I did that incorrectly. Okay.
Yeah. The subdivision neighborhood I found doesn't always work as best. Legal and subdivision generally will get you records that way.
The reason I find legal and the subdivision names don't always pull up everything is the public record has errors in it. So there are addresses in my neighborhood that don't have the neighborhood.
There is going to be a feature coming up shortly that will allow you to, if you notice tax records are incorrect, that you can actually ping it right through a property where you can say, hey, this is erroneous. So that way we can update it. Sadly, we get our data fed in from a third-party system. And so it's hard for us to validate everything, if they're putting it in erroneously.
Hey, Jimmy, if you're trying to target a neighborhood, you've done a brilliant job of showing us how to kind of navigate the public records. But if someone like Linda was having trouble with the full list of addresses coming in a subdivision, could she, it's a little more time intensive, but do a list of street names and just do the street names? Because once you got that search set up, then she could just save that search, right? Could she do 10 street names or something in there?
Yeah, I mean, you can, so as far
That's-
as multiple
that's how
street
I've gotten
names,
around it before.
Is it okay?
like multiple streets, probably, I don't think so.
She said it works. She just said that's how she's done it. So
Oh, okay.
Just add the more button and you can put in as many.
Ah, yep, there we go. Sorry, I need to get my prescription changed. Yep, right there.
there you go. And Jimmy Craig, who just gave us the more button tidbit, asked about Nestfully. If you got 2 or 3 minutes on Nestfully, is that right, Craig?
Yeah, if time allows for Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have any other questions regarding the public records? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Nestfully. So we used to have a website, a consumer-facing website called BrightMLShomes.com. That was recently replaced with Nestfully. And Nestfully is a consumer-facing website, and you can find it under
Products.
yeah,
Top left there.
it should be it's under clients as well. So this is our consumer-facing website that clients, consumers can search and find properties and agents on here. Now, we created this in conjunction with California's MLS. We've brought a couple other MLSs on board, Beaches, Miami MLS, Colorado's MLS, and a few others have joined as well. And the idea is to get one website that is of all the MLSs. Now, I'm sure that you've heard of clients going to other websites and seeing a property on that website. And, as a consumer, if I'm interested in getting information about that property, right? If I'm like, let's see, I clicked on this, right? And I wanted to see a showing or get more information. If I put my contact information in here and submit it, in most other websites, what they're going to do is go to whoever's the highest bidder to get that lead. Now, the idea with this is that if I put my information in here and I hit submit, as a consumer, the first question that's going to come up is it's going to ask me if I'm working with a real estate agent currently. If I am, they're going to ask me who that agent is. And then my request for either a showing or to have more information about that property is going to go to my buyer's agent. If I'm not working with an agent, then that lead is going to come to the listing agent themselves. So it's your listing, your lead type platform. We believe in making sure that that's going back to the agents. And so it's the first phase of it is the website. Now, as we move forward, what we're trying to do is build an ecosystem that is created by us, so that way you don't get used to a product that eventually will go away. We've had partnerships, like I mentioned, Remind earlier. We had a partnership with HomeSnap, that was, those products were acquired by other companies who then decided to sever those relationships. And so the idea with Nestfully is that we build a self-contained ecosystem of products that are available to you within your subscription. And, you get used to them, you use them, and then you don't have to worry about them going away later on. Now, in the second phase, there's going to be an app that's coming out that will be collaborative with your clients. You'll be able to edit listings while you're on the go. As we move forward, there's hopefully going to be some. The plan is to have CRM integration. So if you're working with, say KV Core, Boomtown, whatever type of CRM that you're working with, that any lead that comes into the system will automatically funnel into your CRM. So that way you can go ahead and automatically put them on a drip campaign.
Jimmy, two things on this.
Mhm.
One, I want to know more about the social media aspect to it, which is what caught my eye.
Okay.
You also put on here just a second ago that if someone makes an inquiry, it's going to ask, are you working with a buyer's agent?
Mhm. So there, no,
There
it's,
are plenty of people, Jimmy, who are going to say, yes, I have an agent. My question would be is, have they signed a broker retainer agreement with an agent? Because there's a difference, because if they haven't signed that broker retainer agreement, they're not working with the agent. That agent represents the seller under the Maryland law. So if they're just saying, oh yeah, I have an agent, but they haven't signed anything, I would still want that person coming to me.
well, that's up to them if, you know, I mean, I mean, there's only so much that we can do, you know, I mean, like, we can't force, you know, folks to put in that information, right? If they're working with an agent, right, and they have a buyer's agreement, like, you know, the consumer can put in whatever information that they want. There's, you know, not much that we can do, you know, in that regard. So, you know,
Consumers can lie. It's like writing an open house and then giving
Okay.
a false name if they don't,
But-
if it forces them to write something and they don't want to.
Instead of giving it a yes, no, as far as are you working with a real estate agent? Are you
so if
working?
they click yes, then they're going to be prompted to give them their information, right? And then they have the ability of putting in that information or not. And if they don't put in that information, then I'm pretty sure, I'm not you know, I haven't tested it myself, but if they don't put in any information, then it should go to the listing agent.
All right.
I mean, there's sadly, I mean, we can't control what the consumer is going to do because they can go to any other website and, you know, put in, you know, whatever they like. But again, you know, we can't control human behavior, but what we can do is try to put in parameters that are hopefully, you know, going to get those leads back to either the listing agent or the buyer's agent. Now, the social, Nestfully Social, it's a AI generated social media campaign. And so that is a premium paid product that you can sign up for, where they will kind of curate content and post on your social media based off of, like, you know, what type of accounts that you have. It's got an algorithm in place that's supposed to understand your style, and it goes through all of your previous social media to understand how you can convey information, and kind of mimics that and does it automatically for you. So it'll post pretty much all real estate related content to all of your social media. And it's an AI algorithm or AI tool, and it's creating that algorithm on the back end to present that social media for you.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions? I think somebody said something. Can you reword the question to the buyer? Tracy, I'm not sure. Are you referring to when someone goes in and pings the system for information? Is that correct?
She's talking about my question where the language where it's just is asking, are you working with the buyer's agent? And then if they answered yes, what is the name of your buyer's agent? That's all she's asking, is if we could come up with better verbiage that works better
I
from
mean, I would certainly, you know, if again, if you all have better you know, verbiage that you think would work out in terms of, you know, please send it to me, and that way I can remit it back to our support team. You know, I'm only a technical trainer, you know, I'm not a developer. So you know, I only can do so much, but you know, if we have information and you have exact verbiage that you think would work better, you can always send it to me, and I can always send it up to the development team.
part of my issue is if I'm paying for a Nestfully or I'm using a product here, I don't necessarily want the leads that are coming in off of my stuff through Nestfully being directed elsewhere. I'd rather have it come to me as the listing agent and do what is ethically correct and asking that person when they call in, are you working, you know, with a real estate professional at this time, rather than having Bright play the middleman on that.
Well, again, so you're not paying anything extra for Nestfully, right? That's just a consumer facing website, right? And at first there wasn't even, anything coming in asking if you were working with a buyer's agent, right? Or working with an agent. So we put that in place so that way, if there was an agent, and client relationship, right? That agent would get that lead to come back into them. So,
Well, and I think the thing to do right now, Jimmy, is if they have concerns like this, just send them in to you. We can send out your email address, and then you can forward them on to the right parties. Because I don't think we're going to get to any. If we had found the guy who could make bright changes for us the second we sent him in, you'd be inundated. But we'll send them to you and let you forward them on. But I think let's wrap up because we're coming close to the end of the hour. If you've got 90 more seconds, Jimmy, though, and you could show them just a QB Casa. Just introduce them to it if they don't know about that. But that one's a really cool program, and then we'll land this session for the day. We're coming up on the hour right now, but if you don't know about QB Casa, it's awesome. I'll let him introduce it, and if you do, be reminded that it exists for you.
This is a great tool, and I'll play a quick video for you all to take a look at. But this is a partnership we have with this company, QB Casa. What it allows you to do is download an app on your phone that ties into your Bright account, and you are able to scan any of your listings. And once you finish scanning that listing, you'll upload it and send it to QB Casa. Within 24 hours, they will send you a 2D floor plan for your property. And if it's under 5,000 square feet, it's completely free. It's an awesome tool. If you want to make any additions, you can add like a GLA report for $15. If you want to add fixed furniture to that, it's $15. And if you need it quicker than that 24-hour turnaround time, it's $15. Let me play this video for you. Go.
Meet Kubicasa, a revolutionary floor plan solution for real estate. Create a floor plan in minutes with our easy-to-use mobile app. We've delivered over 1 million floor plans and are trusted by over 6,000 companies. It's easy to get started. First, sign up on our website, log into your account, and download the Kubicasa app. Watch our best practices video to see how the process works. Then you'll be ready to start scanning. Making a scan is fast and easy. Just walk along the baseboard. Scan no closer than 3 feet and no farther than 8 feet from objects. After capturing the entire property, send your scan for processing. Your floor plan will be delivered the next business day. The final result will be a totally customizable floor plan available in JPEG, PNG, SVG, and PDF formats. Check out our website, kubicasa.com. Floor plan is on us.
So I used this after we did our training and scanned my house. And I was amazed at how accurate it was. And it's super easy. It takes like a moment to get used to, but once you've done it like once, it's really intuitive. You can start on the main floor and work up and down in any order that you want, and they'll still be able to get that floor plan done for you. I mean, it's always best to start at the top or work your way down or bottom up. But there's a human that's going to be disseminating all that information on the back end. You also have a little button on there that you can, record what rooms you're going into, just so it's kind of like a voice stamp of each area. And it's wonderful. And like I said, if it's under 5,000 square feet, it's completely free. If it's over 5,000 square feet, I believe it's a $15 charge. So I encourage everyone to try it out and see how it is.
It's crazy accurate. Yeah, definitely try it out. And I see here, it is live now, Aaron. And I see Kendra says that she uses it for her buyers. So if you have a buyer who's real serious about a property, you open up your Kubicasa app, run a quick search of it, and you'll have a floor plan for them if the listing agent didn't provide it. I think the other way you could possibly do it, a lot of us use professional photographers that are providing the floor plans. If they're not, use this. If they do, but you have like a coming soon listing, and you're not quite photo ready, you could go in and take that exterior photo, and then you could actually have a set of floor plans that you upload with your coming soon listing as well. So a lot of tools, and this is one of the really, really neat ones that you guys have partnered with for us, Jimmy. So I appreciate it big time.
Absolutely.
I'm going to wrap up and see if Ken wants to jump back on here. But as I kind of go back through my notes, Jimmy packed this session. We learned how to promote around a listing for more listings, and you can even fine tune it into owner occupants or absentee owners, depending on what you wanted to do or target your market. You could even take that same list and promote to just people renting around that listing. You could create a list of folks who have owned for over a certain period of time if you wanted to target into that list. And you could create a list of over a certain price range. So if you wanted to go over $1 million or something like that. And that was just like a quick touch, but there's more than that, just that in this call. And then how about if you went to absentee owners that owned more than $1 million property or $1 million properties, so you could merge these together. So power-packed session. I appreciate you big time, Jimmy. And I see Ken's back on too, so I'll let him wrap it up and tease the rest of the week.
I've been here the whole time.
Well, I know you're here. I see you're back. I see you again, though. You were just a Black Hollywood Square for a little while. You're back in person again now.
Hey, I was following Jimmy's lead, right?
Yep. Yep.
No, Jimmy, if I have any requests to send back to Bright, would you ask them if they can develop an app to do cold calling for us? The only thing we miss.